Okay, let's dive in. Today we're looking at a specific devotional piece. It's called God's Urgent Call to Return.
Right. And it really zeroes in on Revelation chapter 9.
Yeah, so our goal here is just to unpack what this specific source says about that chapter. Pull out its main messages on things like God's protection and this call for change it talks about.
Exactly. We're sticking strictly to the devotional's interpretation.
And it starts by framing Revelation 9, which can seem pretty intense, right? All about judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But this source immediately points out that, in its view, the text also highlights God protecting his people and calling them back.
Yeah, it emphasizes that perspective. The source suggests that underneath the difficult descriptions, you're meant to see God's heart wanting to, protect, forgive, and restore. It's not just judgment, according to this reading.
Okay, so that brings us to the first big idea the devotional pulls out. Lesson 1, it calls it. God protects those who are his.
That's the one. And for this, the source looks at Revelation 9, verses 1 through 21. But it really focuses particularly on verse 4, the part about people having the seal of God on their foreheads.
And what does the devotional say that seal means in this context? How does it relate to the judgment?
Well, the way this devotional interprets it, that seal means you're identified as God's. And crucially, it means protection.
Oh, okay.
It claims those people with the seal are specifically kept safe from the harm described in that passage, while, others aren't.
So the devotional really wants you, the listener, to grab onto that. It presents it like a strong reminder that God sees you, cares about you.
Right. It frames it as offering this deep security. Like, no matter what's going on, difficult times described or maybe faced in life, you're secure in God's love. That's the devotional's angle.
Does it offer ways to sort of apply that?
It does. It suggests practical things, like actively thanking God for that protection.
Makes sense.
And it really stresses staying close to him through prayer, through his word. And interestingly, the devotional presents that closeness as how the heart actually gets sealed.
Okay, so closeness seals the heart, according to this source.
Yeah, that's the connection it makes. And finally, it encourages praying for others so they might also, come to know him and receive that same kind of seal, that protection.
Okay, so that's a pretty comforting message found within a tough chapter, according to this source. Protection and security.
Mm-hmm.
But then the devotional kind of shifts gears, right, to what it calls Lesson 2.
It does. A call to change and soften our hearts. It feels different, but it's drawn from the same passage.
How so?
Well, the devotional points out something it finds striking in Revelation 9. Even after seeing all these intense judgments, some people in the text just refuse to change.
They didn't turn from their sins.
Exactly. The source uses the phrase, their hearts remained hard and stuck in darkness.
So the devotional uses that observation as a kind of wake-up call for the reader.
Precisely. It frames it that way. The idea being that sin isn't just abstract, it has consequences shown in the text, and God really desires people to turn away from it.
Towards freedom, as the source puts it.
Towards his freedom, yeah. And again, it gives actionable steps. It says, if you recognize sin, the call is urgent. Confess it right away. Don't let it settle.
Don't let the heart harden.
Right. Stay humble. And it talks about letting God's Spirit soften your heart daily, actively letting that happen.
Okay.
And similar to the first point, it encourages reaching out, encouraging others to turn to Jesus because, as the source emphasizes, he loves to forgive.
So if we boil it down, the two core takeaways from this devotional's reading of Revelation 9 are, first, this message of divine protection for those marked, sealed as God's.
Yeah, that security piece.
And second, this really urgent call to change internally, to choose a soft heart over a hard one, even when facing difficult things.
That sums it up well. Protection and the call to transformation. Those are the two pillars the source builds from this chapter.
Right. So thinking only about how this devotional presents things, it says, staying close through prayer, and the word is how the heart is sealed, and letting the Spirit work daily is how it's softened.
That's the mechanism it describes.
So what might the devotional's emphasis on urgency suggest about the condition of a heart that isn't actively doing those things, praying, engaging the word, letting the Spirit work? Just something to ponder based on this source's perspective.